Go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of this, is people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does a different way, with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head! No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk duns, boys and girls.
Freeze frame.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my co-pilots. I have Mr. Green Bean to my this way. I have Mr. Matt O'Leary to my that way. Green Bean, how you doing tonight? Matt, how you doing tonight? Because Green Bean's got his mute mic.
Oh,
muted.
no. Unmute it and let Green Bean go. I like when
Green Bean, how you doing, dude?
Tradition.
I was saying I'm muted, so I'm not going to say anything of import. That's what I was saying. I said I'm feeling okay because I'm finally a little drier, Ryan. I'm feeling like I just started to dry out. So life is good, my friend.
Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing a lot better because we could just block out Sunday from our imagination and we could spend the next 2 hours talking about the Mets and Davante Adams, because that's been actually good in my life since Monday, the last 2 days. But Jets on Sunday, I know we're gonna have to spend some time on it. We're gonna have to do Davante stuff too, but man, I love the two of you guys so much. I love getting to meet and talk to everybody. Like, I know Crossfire's in the chat. We were talking with Crossfire, so many other awesome people on both Saturday at the event and Sunday at the event. Like, that part I absolutely love. But if I never step foot in MetLife Stadium again, I could die happy. Like, that's totally okay with me. I don't have to go back.
Boys and girls, we are 0-4 as a collective 3 going to these damn games. We lost to the Ravens on a home opener. We lost to the Patriots on a home opener. We lost to the Chargers halfway through last season. And we lost to the damn Broncos this past week. It was a whole lot of fun. We're going to get into the whole Davante Adams of it all and whatnot, but I want to get our thoughts on the game real quick and everything that went into it. The group buy was awesome. Really cool hanging out with everyone, seeing everyone. Blitz crew, I know you're out there listening. We missed you. He was feeling a little under the weather, wasn't able to make it out to the game. Got to go on the field at halftime. Super cool. But man, dude, it started misting at like 8:30, and it did not stop till I got home. And I think I'm still shriveled up and damp. I'm still trying to dry out. It was very, very cold. But brutal. We had a lot of fun. It was a good time seeing everyone. Fun time going into the city on Saturday and doing everything at Pioneers. Thought that was really cool. Got to see Jake. Just a lot of fun overall. You guys that came out to the event, let us know. Send us some pictures and stuff. I did get Jason Edwards sent us a few pictures. I did not have time to queue them all up, but we will definitely be posting them on socials, or the ones that you'd like to send us and whatnot. It was very cool. Very, very, very neat. Green Bean, your thoughts on Jets, Broncos? Yeah, go for it.
You know, it was my daughter's first ever Jets game. I told her that there was a very good chance that this was going to be an exciting game, a lot of fun. It was my niece's first Jets game. Like you said, so many great people. Some of whom we've met before, some were new as far as coming to the game with us. And it was, I mean, even with the rain, which was brutal, we didn't get to do all the fun things that we wanted to do. We kind of, I'll tell you what, unless you were like, you know what I really hope goes on? I hope we all crowd together under a tent. One little square tent. We just stay close to each other. If that's your idea of a good time, then boy, oh boy, were you happy. But man, even with the rain, we still had a lot of fun. I think we just we got to the point where it was like, we're wet. Like, who cares? We just were walking around and doing the whole thing, and it loosened up, and we're eating, bratwurst. And it was such a good vibe We went in so positive. And I looked at Matt. I sit next to Matt often at these things, right? And I just remember, Matt, I just looked at you. It was like during the penalties on the 1 yard line. I just looked at you and I go, Matt, and you're like, please. You already know. It's like, here we are. Are we really? This is what we're doing today, man. Again.
The first drive when they went 3 and out, we just exchanged a look and we knew. We knew right away.
Yeah. And it was just brutal. So, my poor daughter, she was trying to get excited. She was scared of the steepness of the steps and she was trying. And it was like, we had so many good people and it's just, we have such a good time. And as soon as we walk in that damn building, I don't know what it is. I've had more than a few DMs and Twitter comments and everything Bean, it's really got to be discussed whether or not you should ever come to a Jets game again. It's the same game. I think I've seen 1 touchdown in 4 games, right? I mean, 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think it's the Ravens game. I think that's the only touchdowns we saw, right? What happened to the Chargers game last year? I don't remember what the final score was.
I think they got a garbage touchdown or something. No, they never did. They didn't get in. They got to the 1 yard line or something like that, I think, at the very end.
That's
remember?
right.
Uzomah
I was like,
I'd
be so mad if we actually scored at the end because it just sends a bad statement. It
makes it look like it. Yeah, it makes it look like it wasn't as bad as it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's unbelievable how thoroughly boring, unhappy, and miserable it is. And then add to it the rain. Thankfully, our seats were under the solar panels. So at least we got a little bit of a reprieve from the downpour because it rained from the minute we got there till the minute we left. And then yesterday was when I got in the car to drive home to Virginia, it was gorgeous outside. Birds, sun, a light breeze. Beautiful, Ryan.
Oh, Matt, what are your thoughts on the game?
I was disgusted. I really was. I'm still not over it. Which is bad. Because usually it's like, hey, I'll sleep on this, and by Monday morning comes around, I could come to grips with it. But that was just so disgusting. Can we spend some time on Nathaniel Hackett honestly drawing up a pass to Solomon Thomas on 3rd and goal from the 1 yard line? That, I feel like that's getting glossed over as one of the most insane things that we have seen. They drafted a 240-pound running back and didn't give him the ball once on the 1 yard line. They ran Breece right into the line of scrimmage twice, ran a play action dump off, or was supposed to be a play action dump off to Solomon Thomas that got blew up. And then they took one of their 15 penalties on fourth down and goal from the 1 yard line, and it backed them up and they kicked the field goal. So just, again, beyond frustrating. I am still thinking about this game, and my fear is that it's going to come back and haunt them at some point, that they lost this very winnable game in a game they absolutely should have won. But I know, obviously it's in the title, Saleh on the hot seat. I know one of the biggest takeaways from this game for me too is I don't know how you could defend Robert Saleh at this point. I've tried to be as patient as possible with him and be like, hey, let's see him with the real quarterback, and let's see if some of this stuff improves. But I mean, you had 10 days to prepare. You were 8-point favorites at home. You had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I know it was raining or whatever, but the Broncos dealt with the rain too, and you still couldn't figure it out, man. That's just tough.
Yeah, it sucks missing that 50-yard kick at the end. I can't really blame Zerline for that. 50 yards in the rain is just absolutely brutal. It's silly season to try and go for that long of a kick. Shouldn't have been that long of a kick. We should have had... Why you're going to a back shoulder throw to Xavier Gibson in a crunch time situation is beyond me with Mike Williams on the bench. We lost it on that 1st down and goal, and or not even just 1st down, all the plays on the 1 yard line. The throw to Solomon Thomas was stupid. Not running Braylon was stupid. The false start on 4th and 1, very stupid, because at the very least, if you didn't get in, you'd have your defense pinned up, or the Broncos offense pinned into the end zone where you might potentially get a safety and the ball back. And that's the difference maker. That wins you the game. That's 11 to, oh, God. Well, no, I guess you wouldn't have had the field goal, right? But, dude, it's super frustrating. Super frustrating. I don't know how you really defend Robert Saleh anymore, because through 2 offensive coordinators, multiple different quarterbacks, and across multiple seasons, lots of different players, we still come out unprepared. We still have a bunch of penalties. And like Will McDonald lining up offsides. This is like fucking football 101. Offense that side, defense that side. Move when the ball moves. Like, what are you doing? Breece Hall getting false starts as the running back. Like, dude, I'm super upset and super irritated with both Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. They have both been incredibly underwhelming. I think Braylon Allen is the best running back on this team right now, and I think Garrett Wilson is the third best wide receiver on this team right now. Not from a skill perspective, but from a how are you doing right now perspective. And it's really, really irritating. Green Bean, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on Breece and Garrett? And then I guess you could piggyback off that on your thoughts on Robert Saleh and, you know, his hot seat potential maybe.
Yeah, I think they fold together nicely, Ryan. I agree with you. I think that not only have they been underwhelming, they've actually been detrimental. They both had drive-killing fumbles. They have been, mistake prone. There was a point during the game where Breece, and it was in like the second quarter, he was walking around with his head down, like he looked like he was like kicking the can down the street. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't understand. Like, what is happening that you feel that way? You know, and granted, maybe it was a brief moment and it wasn't indicative of a bigger issue, but the production on the field, supports that there's something larger going on. And like you said, we have guys, and then we'll keep it to the running back. You have two young running backs that would love to get in there. One who, in particular, who has been successful this year. Even in that game, Breece is running into a brick wall. They hand it to Braylon Allen, and he managed to get, 6-7 yards or whatever it might be. So you go with the hot hand. And this harkens back to what the whole cadence comment from Saleh that had the rebuttal from Aaron Rodgers. He's like, well, that's one way to do it, or we could hold guys accountable. And that's been something we've talked about throughout the entire Saleh regime here, the era, if you will, is that we don't feel that anybody gets repercussions, or he'll laser in on somebody and make them pay. Like last year, it was Allen Lazard. We've seen it with Denzel Mims, with a couple other guys, that they kind of get in this doghouse, so to speak, and they can't get out of it. But overall, like, dude, when Breece looks like that, you look him in the eyes and you say, hey, take a second, sit there and think about what you want to do with this damn career of yours, because right now you're getting benched, and you put somebody else in there and you let him have success. And same thing goes for Garrett Wilson. If him and Aaron Rodgers can't get on the same page for whatever the hell reason that is, I'm going to tell you, with all due respect to Garrett Wilson, who's one of my absolute favorite players in the league, I'm going to say it's more than likely on him than it is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers lives, eats, sleeps, breathes this offense. He's a multiple-time league MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's been doing this for 20-something years. And there's a miscommunication with all these receivers. I mean, look, I'm not removing any fault from Aaron Rodgers, but I'm just going to lean into the idea that it's probably less to do with him than it is to do with guys like Garrett Wilson, or Gibson or Isaiah Davis or whoever the hell it is running the wrong route. So it's frustrating, and guys need to be held accountable. I don't care what your name is. I don't care how much we're paying you. I don't care how special you think you are. You need to go take a seat when you're having multiple pre-snap penalties, whatever it might be. But particularly Breece and Garrett, who are two of my favorite Jets, they need to sit. They need to know this. You're not bigger than the team. You're not bigger than the game. And you both look like you got lead in your shoes and rocks in your ass. And it's time to shake it off. Go think about it on the bench. Parcells would have did it. The Belichicks of the world do it. You need to do it. You need to make a statement. And Saleh, when they talked about running Braylon Allen, he said that's something we'll look into. You will look into it? You mean you don't know this yet? Now, I mean, maybe the comment's just stupid, but I'm just sick of it, dude. I'm so sick of the same things over and over. And again, I'm not one to call for the heads. You know that about me. I'm rarely the one, unless when it was Adam Gase. I took a lot of pleasure in wanting to, root against the team, get to 0 wins, and watch Gase get fired. That was a very anomalous year. Other than that, I rarely call for the head of our coach. Rarely. I'm not calling for it now. but I'm saying something needs to happen. And this guy clearly is incapable of making guys pay. It's like he's afraid that'll hurt their feelings or something. And sad to say, I never thought I'd see it because their work ethic is so good. But Breece and Garrett are at the top of my list for guys who need to get, experience some sort of repercussions. Look, I know you think you're a superstar. You're not. Sit the fuck down. I'm going to put an undrafted free agent, Brownlee, in, or whoever it is. And we're going to go play some football. When you feel like you got your head in the game, come on back and talk to me.
Matt, what are your thoughts on Breece and Braylon?
Yeah, it's really shocking with Breece Hall. Like, he just looks really tentative. Like, he doesn't know where the hole is or like to hit the hole, and just like put his head down and go, man. Like, he's kind of like indecisive behind the line of scrimmage. Kind of reminds me of like Le'Veon Bell in 2019.
You beat me
Oh,
to
was
what I
that
was
where
going
you
to
were
say.
going? Yeah,
That's
like,
exactly what I was going to say.
and obviously, like, I don't think Breece Hall is washed. I think he's a good player, but while I'm frustrated with Breece and frustrated with Garrett Wilson right now, I am not at the point where like I'm selling my stock on those guys. Like, I think they're too talented to not figure it out and not get their seasons back on track. But like, we do have to bring it up as an issue, because one of the big reasons why they lost that game is because the Jets' best players weren't their best players. And Breece Hall also had 2 false start penalties. Like, that's just like your head is not in the game. And
Right.
he had a bad drop, wasn't on the same page. It was just a frustrating effort. I think that was probably Breece's worst game as a pro. He would probably say the same thing too. So like, I don't think I'm speaking out of tune here. And again, I like both those guys, and I think they will end up being fine. But we got to call it like it is. Like, both those guys were very much so a big part of why they lost, and they should have leaned on Braylon Allen, who you just mentioned there, more, because it took them forever. And once they started running with Braylon, it was working. And I think they waited far too long to get him involved.
I completely agree with the Le'Veon Bell comment, where he was a little hesitant, didn't have as good of an offensive line going from Pittsburgh to New York. Now, we did change the way we, I guess, our blocking scheme, switch that up a little bit, going to more of like a power run instead of, zone blocking scheme. So maybe there's just a learning curve or something with that. Whatever it is, like, Breece is still talented. Get the dude out in space, get him the ball. Like, don't just run him into the line of scrimmage when it's clearly like not working. Like, fans can see it. The guys that are like paid to do this stuff should be seeing it. Really, really frustrating across the board here for these young stars. Let's go through a few super chats real quick. Oreo comes in. Not too happy with my comment from yesterday, which
that was insulting when I had to clip that, because I saw what sparked it. I saw Dom C's tweet. I was like, what the hell is Dom C talking about? And he's like, Ryan mentioned this on the show. So then I had to go back and watch, which is usually something that I did, but I just didn't get around to it at that point when I saw the tweet. I was like, this has got to go up as a clip. And you said that it was going to, but
yep.
I love you. I don't agree with you on this one. I don't think that Garrett Wilson should be involved in any sort of trade package
Let me explain myself, because there's a lot of context being left out of this whole conversation here. So Oreo's upset with Ryan for implying trading Garrett Wilson for Davante Adams. What I said yesterday was, let's say there's a situation, you get to the trade deadline, and Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are still not on the same page. You're winning. You're in a situation where you're like still very much going to try and go for a Super Bowl, but Garrett Wilson, for whatever reason, hasn't figured it out. And tempers start to flare. We've seen Garrett get a little, I don't know, some of the body language over, like, even through training camp to now, sort of implies, at least to me, that I think he may not be on this team beyond his rookie contract. Like, I could see him after Rodgers is gone, or after we have a quarterback change, he may not want to play with a young quarterback or whatever. And if it really goes south this year, maybe he's making some noise at the end of the season. So what I said was, what if there was a situation where, in 1.5 years of Aaron Rodgers, you need to decide, is it better to have the talent but the non-functioning offense of Garrett Wilson, or having someone like Davante Adams and then Lazard and then Mike Williams, who are all like clearly at least on the same page as Rodgers right now. And maybe it would be like Davante and a second for Garrett Wilson or something along those lines. To be clear, I don't want to see that happen. I want to see Garrett Wilson here. But Trey Wingo echoed the same similar comments on Twitter.
He's a fool.
He can be a fool. But, dude, I said it yesterday as like, this is like not an outlandish thought. And then like Jet fans fucking crucified me for it. It's a little, well, it's out.
Porque no los dos. Why can't they have both? Like, hey,
They should. I would much rather give up draft picks, excessive draft picks, to have Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson on the same team. Like, I don't want to use a good player. It's the same reason I said I don't want to trade Hassan Reddick, really. I'd rather force him to play with us for the final 6 games of the season and lose, draft picks in the future. Same logic applies. But if there's like any sort of toxicity or anything like that, that's sort of where I was going with it. We'll get into it in a little bit when we talk about. I have a whole slide for Davante Adams and all the stuff he said and the K Adams show and everything. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Palicar says on Twitter, private jet from Las Vegas to Teterboro tonight. I have not seen that yet. I was under the impression, I was under the impression that they prevented that from actually being a thing. I thought you couldn't track private flights anymore because Elon was a little butthurt about that. Blitzcrew comes in, says Saleh is a great part of the coaching staff, but not as a head coach. We have given him every opportunity of the doubt, every benefit of the doubt, but still hearing the same excuses. Yeah, dude, it's constant. It's the same thing. It's the rain. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it fixed. It's the same sorry playbook over and over and over again. It's really getting tired. Green Bean, any thoughts on hearing the same excuses from Saleh?
Well, I'll tell you, Blitzcrew, if he's not the head coach, he's not anything. I mean, he's not going to be a part of a coaching staff. It's like never happened before, where a head coach is demoted and is still on the staff. I mean, you got to get rid of him. So it's in or out. That said, again, I'm not necessarily calling for his head at this exact moment, but you'd be blind if you weren't seeing the same things over and over. It's the same issues. There's a lack of discipline. There's a lack of accountability. And there's seemingly a lack of, there's a lack of consistency. When's the last time we really had a 3 or 4 game stretch where we looked like the same team? This was a tweet that I put out earlier today. Everybody's like, oh, you're overreacting. It's like, look, I'm not overreacting about losing a game. I'm overreacting. I'm reacting about the way that we lose. We can't just have a great game and lose. Sometimes you get bested. You know what I mean? You play your heart out and you lose the game. But it rarely happens for us. When we lose, it has to be utter embarrassment. We have to talk about complete collapse and all that. It's always that way. It's not us. We're not making this shit up. Anybody looking at that game and thinking, oh man, it's just, hey, if we just had another this or that. I mean, yes, we had a final opportunity and Zuerlein missed the kick. So that could have, sort of erased it. I would have felt better walking out if he made that damn kick. We had the opportunity, but let's shoot straight. We played like complete ass the entire game. And I know that we're all giving credit to the defense, and that's fine. But if that was a real quarterback, there were numerous times that the receiver was open and he flat out missed him. So if that was a real quarterback, it doesn't look like that either, dude. We got chance after chance after chance, and we played completely flat. What is it? 15 penalties, 14 hits on the quarterback, 5 sacks. We were abysmal. And it's like, why do we have to do that? That is a coaching thing. He does not know how to keep his team up. He says things like, well, they know that they did bad. They don't need somebody reminding them. They need somebody to help fix. Bullshit, man. It's not working. It's the same thing over and over. We fixed the offensive line and we gave you a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know what happened? He got hit 14 times. He got sacked 5 times. That's what happened. Somebody needs to be spoken to. Somebody needs to be fucking bold. So everybody goes, oh, wait a second. This isn't just a free ride. So it's the idea that Saleh has a handle on it. Guys, he doesn't. And what's going to happen is Aaron Rodgers, if he hasn't already, is going to see that. He's going to see that this guy hasn't held a block all game. I've yelled at him in the huddle. There's just nothing happening. There's no repercussion. I keep getting killed. There's going to be a battle. Who do you want? Who's the team going to pick? Is it going to be Saleh over A-Rod? Because I'm going to tell you what, he'll just get injured or whatever and say, I don't feel like playing, and he's gone after the end of this year. It's done. So I don't know, man. At some point you got to look at a man and you got to say, bro, not good enough. And I think we're there. If we go into this London game and get shellacked, which all indicators point to that happening, they're scoring 30 plus points a game. They're making it look easy. And we can't get a damn touchdown against the Broncos. We cannot beat 10 points again. Samini, who I don't like, nailed it. It felt every bit like a Zach Wilson game. It was like watching the same thing over again that we've seen so many times. So who is that? Is it Aaron Rodgers? I don't think it is. I think it's because the team just wasn't up for the game. We had extra time, and I don't know what we did with it. If we just napped and cuddled and Netflixed and chilled or whatever the fuck we did, it didn't work, and it hasn't worked yet. So something's got to be done. And who's the boss? You got to look at the boss in that situation.
Jason comes in with a super chat. Thanks so much. Jason says, super hyped this weekend. My entire family was basically involved. Trying to explain Sunday's game and keep a straight face to them was brutal. The play calling was criminal. Seriously. Yeah, play calling was rough, especially on the goal line there. Really nice meeting your wife on Saturday and then meeting your whole family on Sunday at the game. Jason, it was very cool. Thank you so much for bringing them out. It sounds like they're excited to come out for next year. If we wind up doing it again, we're gonna have to convince Green Bean to lug his ass up from Virginia and see hopefully not a loss next year.
How about we do a meetup and then just don't go to the fucking
and don't go.
Yeah.
Right,
just
Matt?
find like a bar somewhere, and we're just all gonna pack into a bar and just say, okay, this is our experience. This is
that's
what
the
it's
best part. Right, like I think that's what Bean's gonna say. Sorry to jump him, but like the best part is hanging out with everybody and talking, like getting to hang with Jason again and like Crossfire and all the like just list off all the guys that come out and always support. Like that's awesome. That means the absolute world to us and to me. And then we go in and like watch it. Green Bean said it perfectly in the podcast. I listened to his episode today while I was on the treadmill at the gym, and he was talking. He's like, I don't think I've seen a touchdown in that building in like 5 years. And then I was going back, and in my head I was like, yeah, they didn't score one yesterday on Sunday. Don't think they scored against the Chargers. Pretty sure they also didn't score against the Ravens, although they might have had one garbage time touchdown. Maybe, I don't really remember. Could have been. But like you have to really think about the last time when we were all in the building together, like when they actually scored a touchdown, which is just how does this keep happening?
It's a scoring league. They've changed the rules to make it easier to score touchdowns, and we are playing like we were in the 1950s. It is absurd.
Yeah, and at bare minimum, if you guys do somehow shoehorn me back into the house of pain, I cannot allow you to sit my unlucky ass next to poor Matt O'Leary. Whatever that combination is.
It's not
when I look to my right, I see Matt, and it's just like we got to change something of the dynamic. You got to stick Ryan next to me. Something has to change because I feel like I'm in a time warp. I'm like, is this Zach Wilson's first ever game? Like I looked at Matt that game. I said, Matt, here we go. Like Ravens, here we go. It's like it's the same over and over. Something's got to change, man. I don't know if I can do it. I mean, do it like I used to do with Dead shows. I've been to like 6 Grateful Dead shows. I've never seen the Grateful Dead. That's the way we got to do it. I never made it out of the parking lot.
Yeah,
granted,
like Jimmy Buffett at Jones Beach.
Right.
Same
shit. I don't know. Don't let me in. Don't let me in that place.
Just going to jump Ablab to the front here. Thanks so much for the 10 spot, dude. It says, coaching at this point. If they beat the brakes off of Minnesota, I won't be impressed. Rest? I won't be impressed. If they win 3 in a row in a commanding fashion, then I'll be impressed. I will say this. I think we got very lucky with Buffalo losing to the Ravens at night. That sort of reset everything, because if you do pull off a win against Minnesota, then that means the Monday Night Football game against the Bills is for the division at that point. So you're feeling a little bit better about, maybe not better about the situation that Jets found themselves in, because then you could have been tied with Buffalo right now, and it would have been that much more important. But the rest of the AFC is like kind of up in the air. The Bengals aren't looking very good. The Jaguars are 0-4. Everyone's kind of in the middle here. So we got a little bit of time to kind of figure it out, I guess. But 3 in a row in commanding fashion. I would say the Jets have to win 2 of the next 3. And if they don't, Saleh needs to go. You cannot allow this roster to go to 2-5 or no, what would it be? 2-4 potentially, or 3-5, and allow him to continue going, because it's too important while you have Rodgers in 1.5 years. You got to get Saleh out of the building. You cannot allow worse than a 2-3 record in these next 3 weeks. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, because unfortunately they put themselves in a really tough spot. And before the season started, we always do this. We go through and you look at games like, I could see them winning that one. They might lose that one. And ironically, 2 of their next 3 games coming up, I thought would be really tough before the year started. Minnesota in London, I thought would be tough, because like those games are just always weird. And I thought maybe that would be the game that they don't get up for. And really at this point, like Minnesota looks like one of the best teams in the NFL, which is weird. No one expected that. And the Jets obviously didn't get up for the game this past week against Denver. But then Pittsburgh on the road on Sunday Night Football is like also a sneaky, really tough game. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you got Buffalo sandwiched in between that. So I think they have to win 2 of their next 3 games, because if they don't, then that will mean they'll have a losing record going into that New England game after this stretch. If they drop 2 of the next 3 and they're 3-4, or if they're 2-5, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. So they, in my opinion, at bare minimum, have to win 2 of the next 3. And it's not going to be easy. But you know what? The NFL is so goddamn weird. They'll lose to a team like Denver 10-9, and then they'll like bounce back and win, like, I don't know, like just have a nice showing, like a 24-14 win over Minnesota. And it would be like right back on the horse. Hey, everything's okay. And it's just going to be a roller coaster the whole freaking way, because that's how it's going to have to be, I guess.
Jets caught a little bit of a break too. Von Miller getting suspended for 4 games for personal conduct policy. So he's not going to be playing versus us on Monday night. Being real quick, what are your thoughts on the next 3 games? Jets have to win 2 of the next 3, you think, or Saleh's gone, or do you have a different stance on that?
Well, Woody's never fired a coach.
We've never had a Super Bowl window like this, though. I think that's the difference for me.
Well, listen, Mr. Trade Garrett Wilson for fucking old man Adams.
You're getting me all fired up.
I was going to say that if you let me finish my sentence.
Sorry.
That's okay. I still haven't busted your balls properly for that ridiculousness. I don't care about your context.
Oh, we'll go more into
anyway,
it.
You're going to freeze me if I keep attacking you. I know
it. Keep going. You're good.
All right. So, but here's the thing. I think if we lose, and especially in the way that we lose in Minnesota, like let's say hypothetically, it's similar in the ways of Aaron Rodgers getting chased and beat up. He's not going to be happy. And so there will be if there's no rift, it'll be created. If there's a slight rift, it'll be expanded upon. And Woody's going to have to look down and go, which one is my moneymaker? And I know who he's going to pick, and rightfully so. The only thing I would say is, like, Woody would have to sit down and go, all right, listen, I'm going to fire Robert Saleh because I know you don't like him, but I'm going to tell you, I got to get rid of your fucking best boy Hackett too. He's got to go out with the dishwater. That's my best Woody. That's all I got. That's what he's going to say.
I think they'd strip Hackett of his play calling duties. I don't think they would can him. I think Saleh's the first to go, and then Downing gets play calling, or Downing gets play calling first, then Saleh goes, and then,
make Middleton the head coach. And I know Ulbricht is the odds-on favorite. Make Middleton the head coach. And just let him run the whole damn offense. And if it's with Todd Downing, that's fine. Or with what's his name, Tony Muse, Dews. Yeah, Dews. Let them figure it out. Let them change it up and do something fresh, because Hackett, whatever it is, man, just Robert Saleh, again, if it turns out that it's Aaron Rodgers versus Robert Saleh is losing without a second thought. If Aaron Rodgers goes, look, dude, I can't work with this guy, Saleh's fired. So it's that simple. There's no accountability. I think Middleton, if given some power, would hold people accountable. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't presume to know the man, but he does seem like he's got a touch more fire in the belly than Saleh. Doesn't he give you that impression? Got a little bit of fire in the belly. So Middleton's my guy. I'd be fine with Ulbricht, but I would say I think I'd be more excited about an offensive head coach. And Middleton's my guy. He's 1-0, or if you want to include the Senior Bowl, he's 2-0 as a head coach. So hey, man, I'm all about it. Again, I'm not calling for his head, but if we get shellacked in front of the world in London against Sam Darnold, God damn it, then it's enough is enough. I can't handle it anymore.
CJ, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Says, screw waiting 3 weeks. Get those effing clowns, Saleh and Hackett, out of there now. Damn near topped my TV off the wall. Took my TV off the wall when I saw Hackett call a play on 3rd and 10 throw to Gibson. Yeah, dude, we were all howling at that. We're like, you got to be kidding me. Like, crunch time, that's who you go to. You got Lazard, who's on the same page with Rodgers right now. You got jump ball, Mike Williams there. Heck, even Garrett Wilson. I'd take Breece, who's been, like, struggling. I'd take literally, like, Conklin, almost anyone over Xavier Gibson in that particular situation. So I'm right there with you, and I think most people are as well. We're working our way through the super chat, so guys, just bear with us here a little bit. Joe M coming in says, it seemed like Hall would just stop on first contact, but it didn't help. The O-line did not decide to show up. I'll have the every snap from the O-line up probably tomorrow morning, so we'll take a look at that on the All 22. But man, it was rough. O-line definitely did not show up. I thought Fashanu had a pretty bad game from just looking at it from the outside, from the upper decks where we were. So yeah, we'll take a look at it. Hennessy comes in, says, where is Corley? Don't tell me he has to learn the X, the Y, and the Z before he sees the field. The coaching staff is so stubborn. They overthink everything. I mean, I think it's more so a talent thing, right? Like, right off the bat, I think Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, and Lazard, and Breece, and Braylon and Conklin should all have opportunities before Corley right now. But I would like to see Corley at least on the field for some special teams action. Matt, what are your thoughts on Corley?
This feels like they are overcomplicating it with Malachi Corley. And like, I feel like I was one of the people for most of the summer and early this year. I was like trying to temper expectations because we've seen them with these, especially receivers, but the young guys, they take forever to bring them on. They bring them on really, really slowly. And, it kind of just is what it is. Now, I didn't think it would be 2 snaps through 4 weeks slow. Like, this is insane. And I don't know. Someone you mentioned the third, and one of the last commenters mentioned the 3rd and 10 throw to Xavier Gibson. Like, Gibson has given you nothing at receiver this year and has given you nothing at returner since week 1 last year. Great moment. Week 1 last year against Buffalo, phenomenal moment. But if you look at, he's like 28th in yards per attempt on kick returns and 31st on punts, or flip-flop, one or the other. I looked it up this morning on what it was. I forget the order in which it was. Point being, not good enough at returner. So, like, this guy was allegedly your 4th overall wide receiver on this board. Like, they made that so clear, and they posted the video on One Jets Drive where Joe Douglas is calling all, throughout the 2nd round, trying to trade up for this guy, They finally do it at the top of the 3rd round. They draft him, and they play him 2 plays through the first fucking 4 weeks of the season. Like, just make it make sense. None of this makes sense to me. I don't get it. There's bringing someone on slowly, and then there's just like flat out, we're not going to use this guy and be stubborn about it. And it feels like they're just being stubborn.
Bean, any thoughts on Corley?
Yeah, I think it's don't tell me that Gibson gives you more. I don't want to hear it. I mean, look, we don't know what's going on. Corley could be like sucking his thumb in the corner in practice. I mean, we have no idea what's really going on. At the same time, we've seen it before. Like, I love how Hennessy put it. He's learning the X to Y. Well, he's a backup, which, by the way, we haven't heard that since that crazy, stupid ass excuse that Robert Saleh gave us. But it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, look, you guys wanted him so bad. You didn't take any other receivers. There were receivers all over the draft into the 6th round, guys that could be helping us right now. Right now, they could be helping us. And you decided not to do it. You traded up to get this guy. And it would be real nice if we could use him. Now, it's only been 4 games, so I get it. It's like, hey, man, relax. We had a mid-season kind of development plan for him. If it was going well, we wouldn't be freaking out. But right now, when you see a guy like Gibson, who, again, like Matt said, has given us nothing, and he's actually, look, he has more fumbles last year than touchdowns. And like, it's like he's a very inconsistent, like low upside guy. I know he's scatty, he's quick and all that stuff, but don't tell me that he's a better option than Malachi Corley, especially if you just have a role for him. Here's the 3 things you're going to do for us. We'll have you on the field and we're just going to hit you for these things and let him try to do that Yak King stuff. Corley's not, Gibson's giving you nothing. So I just don't get it. So the fact that what we're doing is not working really highlights this and makes it glaring. But man, hey, who knows what the hell these guys are doing. The offensive staff doesn't impress me. They haven't yet. They've done very little. I like the addition of Jefferson and Dews over the guys that we had, but at the same time, they don't have much control. They're just position coaches. So I don't see much from the offensive staff. We haven't yet. This is the second, offensive coordinator we had in the whole thing. I don't know, man. It's just it's hard to put a finger on because we never know what the hell they're doing.
Blitz Crew, thank you so much for the super chat 20 spot. Blitz Crew, you're the man. If ulbrich, I don't know if you heard this too, Blitz Crew. We were saying we missed you at the game. He says, if ulbrich is made coach, we might be able to retain him. Agree with Green Bean that Aaron will pick the next coach. And when it happens, Hackett, he has to go as well. Freeze Ryan for wanting to trade Garrett. Milk thumbs. Okay. You know what? Fine.
Well, hit him.
Fine. Blitz Crew. I'll freeze myself. Matt, you start with this.
Yeah. But it was about time Benito Mussolini 24/7 got the freeze instead of
bite me.
I'm sorry. I didn't even pay attention to Blitz Crew's question. I was so pumped up about the milk thumbs thing. I apologize here. I don't. If Ulbrich is made the coach, we might be able to retain him. There's a world where I think Ulbrich could stay if they brought in a new coach next year, depending on what the situation is, because obviously he wants to get a head coaching role. I don't know if he would get a head coaching role in the 2025 cycle if like Saleh gets canned midway through the year or like whatever. But if he comes back to the Jets in 2025 with the group that he's already essentially built with Saleh and then has success again with that new coach, whoever it is, hopefully a veteran who's coached in this league before and not another first-time head coach coordinator. I think that could be an interesting. Yeah, that's the guy that I think I want here is Mike Vrabel. I know it didn't end well in Tennessee, but Ryan Tannehill was like really, really cooked and injured at the end. Mm-hmm. And like I don't think you'd have to worry about the team not being prepared after 10 days with a guy like Mike Vrabel at head coach.
I think he's a disciplinarian. I think he's one of the smartest head coaches or most creative head coaches that we've seen, like outside of Bill Belichick. Very much like Vrabel. Not to mention we have his whole coaching staff in Downing and Keith Carter here anyway. It just seems like it's a nice, easy fit. And I agree, you might be able to retain Ulbrich as well. Bean, what are your thoughts on Ulbrich becoming coach? I know you kind of touched on it there. I guess, do you think Aaron, let's switch it a little bit. Do you think Aaron should pick the next head coach or have a hand in picking him?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to be here one more year or whatever it is, should pick anything. I mean, you got to talk to him and all that. He's got to be like, somebody he can work with, but he's got to have more value than Aaron Rodgers likes him, as we've seen. But, the old
don't want Hackett as the starter. As the head coach.
Right, he's like, I really think Hackett would be a great head coach. Like,
sometimes the second time around's better.
Just everybody out. Like, that's what you got to get to with that kind of stuff. But if you make Ulbrich the head coach, the only way you're going to retain him in that respect is if you keep it, like if he does a great job and Antonio Pierce him, like you say, hey, you did a great enough job, we're going to retain you as the head coach. If you make Ulbrich the head coach and we're going to hire another coaching staff next year, it's very unlikely that the next coach is going to just keep the previous defensive coordinator. Like, they have their own guys and their own system. I mean, it can happen, but I think the real way to keep Ulbrich in that scenario would be if he does a great job and you keep him as the head coach. I mean, that would be the whole thing. And he just decides, hey, we're gonna start knocking heads around and all that shit, because I've heard people say like, well, Ulbrich would just be Saleh 2.0. That's not necessarily the case. Saleh's the head coach. Ulbricht's job is to run the defense. He's not over there telling people what to do and who to hold accountable on the offense. Not to say that they don't have conversations or whatever, but if Saleh can't do it, Saleh can't do it. We know that he wants to be people's best friends. Don't forget the whole 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐽 bullshit last year, which, by the way, 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐽's a douche for doing what he did. But at the same time, it definitely highlights something. Like, Saleh is trying to be friends. When he first, remember like one of his earliest interviews, and he was talking about telling the players that he wants to put him in the best position to get paid.
Sure.
Like right there, I was like,
I liked it. I look,
I don't like it one fucking bit.
He wants them to have success. That's the message. It's like, hey, I'm here for you guys,
Ryan,
and like
Ryan, I get that that's the intended message. That is the incorrect presentation of the message. That is not the way that a head coach should be speaking to young, impressionable, egoic players. That is absolutely the wrong way to go about it. Look, dude, I've been a director for the last 15, 20 years. I know there's different messaging for different departments and all. You got to know the right thing. You can accomplish the same thing. You have to know the right presentation in order to get and maximize the talent that you have. Telling a kid that the most important thing is that I'm going to get you paid. As soon as he said that, I went, not okay. I mean, hey, look, I'm not out. He hasn't done anything yet. But again, we've just seen this whole thing. He doesn't hold people accountable. He doesn't do it. He picks a guy and puts him in the doghouse. We've seen that a handful of times, but we have not seen him when guys are making mistakes. We haven't seen him actually pay repercussions. Dude, we saw Ty Johnson drop 3 consecutive third down passes for firsts. 3 in a row. And guess who trotted his ass back out there the next drive? Ty Johnson. You don't sit a guy for that? Remember that shit?
Was that the Jaguars game?
That I don't remember. You're giving me too much credit.
Sorry.
I remember the scenario.
Oh yeah.
You know, maybe sometimes I will. But again, it's like we've seen example after example after example. Remember when Quincy Williams in a preseason game with Jalen Hurts like hit him out of bounds?
Decapitated him.
And he didn't do anything about that. Look, I love Quincy Williams, right? Like these are guys, just like when I say that Breece has to be held accountable like Garrett. I love these players. Love them. It doesn't mean that they're above reproach. Like you have to be able to show them I am the boss. Like Parcells would say, like, dude, he would just go, get your ass over here, sit down. That's it. I'll cut you tomorrow. And they knew he wasn't playing games. And guess what? They would get their head out of their ass and they'd come in fired up to make the coach, to make the coach have a change of heart, or show him that he means business, so to speak. So, look, man, with the whole Ulbrich thing, I think that, we don't know what he would be as a head coach. So if they make that decision and do let Saleh go, like if we go into London and get embarrassed in front of all Woody's new Londonian friends when he was over there as the ambassador, if we embarrass him over there with a guy that we got rid of just a couple years ago, comes in and makes us look like a slapdick organization, I'm telling you, there's a good chance that this whole streak of never firing a coach midseason happens. And if it's Ulbrich, then Ulbrich has to come out and he's got to let people know that he's not just going to be Saleh 2.0. I don't think he will. He's got a whole different personality, a whole different fire about him. Saleh just stands there, man. Unless we do something great, then he needs a get-back coach. If we score a touchdown, like he has to hire a guy to hold him back. But what happens when we're doing poorly? He just stands there and stares into space. So I don't know.
I thought Irv Charles should have been ejected from that game. That late hit on that punt return,
embarrassing.
That was inexcusable.
Ridiculous.
That was incredibly violent and incredibly dangerous, and I think I would have sat his ass the rest of the game. I'm shocked the refs didn't actually throw him out.
But we know he's going to play. Like he's going to play next week, and like it's not like they don't have someone like a Brandon Eccles or Quantez Stiggers or like guys who are on the active like they're not even one of the guys who are like one of the inactives, right, in the game. Like guys who are actually rostered and can fill that role. Like make a point. You had 15 goddamn penalties called in the game against you, 13 accepted. Like again, in I believe it was after week 3, and I forget who they played in 2021 in week 3, but there was a quote, someone screenshot and put it out on Twitter, and was like, yeah, the self-inflicted wounds, we got to improve and get better on that with these, these foolish penalties. That's 3 years ago, and the same goddamn thing's happening all these years later. And it's like, the roster has clearly gotten better since that point. So you can't just go, oh, well, like, the team's too young, they don't get it, that when they're older kind of thing, when they mature, whatever. It's still happening with the team that's supposed to be good. Like, this is a problem.
Ronald comes in with a super chat. Thanks so much for the 20 spots. Says 25 years Special Ops Air Force vet here. Thank you so much for your service, Ronald. Says, would love to see a playoff year, but my concern is the culture. Rodgers can get us to the playoffs, but what's the future? In the military, we built success from vision. We lack that. That's on ownership. I think they had a clear message the last 2 off seasons, and for whatever reason, I think maybe the lack of accountability in season. And I love Rodgers calling out Saleh, after the cadence comment that was brought up, just saying like, hey, maybe you got to hold him accountable. I think it's a great comment from him, and I think it needed to be said, because I think more than just Rodgers is feeling that way. If Rodgers is saying it, I think it's
straight.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more to that. Anything you want to add to this, Green Bean?
Well, I love the way that Rodgers said it, though, too. Just on your point there, like the way. See, it's the presentation. He didn't say my head coach is a moron, but he just said, well, that's one way to do it, or you could do this, and that's just as loud of a message as saying I disagree with my head coach. I think he's a slapdick, jerk off. He doesn't have to say that kind of stuff. He just says, well, maybe this instead, and it goes, whoever goes, oh, I know what he means. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a way to do things. I'd love a playoff year too, Ronald, and look, the truth is that I'm not out on this team. Like, we still have just as much talent as we've had before. The truth is that we just played an inferior team. They should not have been able to hang with us. Should not have been. And even if it was just a 17-10 game because it was sloppy and all that, that's fine too. You'd like to see them blow them out, but we should have absolutely beat them. Our defense really had one drive where they got anything done. And again, like I've said before, that was really helped by a lot of penalties, some of which were utterly ridiculous. The jump on the defense when they showed the replay, literally no one moved. I mean, maybe, but again, the pass interference was a little bit okay. It could be called, but it was a little bit questionable. So that one drive, this is what we saw all over the last 3 years. It's like the defense is pretty much flawless. Again, I think if there was a real quarterback, we have a whole different conversation. But calling it as it was, our defense is playing fine. Our defense is holding them. Our defense doing everything they need to do. And then they have one drive where they're able to get in the end zone, and it's too much for us to handle. And that shouldn't be. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I thought the culture was good. Losing kills culture. It doesn't matter how great of guys that you have. You lose when you're supposed to win, and it takes a serious bite out of whatever positive vibes that you had in the house. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just like they say, winning cures all. Same thing goes for losing. Losing will ruin anything that you have. So it's very, very important. I don't know, if we can't get it straight, then the playoffs are a fantasy.
Sky C, I'm going to get to your comment in just a second. I just want to piggyback off Ron's last super chat just because this kind of aligns with it. Rodgers feels like a mercenary. What do we do in 2 years? No vision. Who's the future? What's the best? What is the 5-year plan? That concerns me as a lifelong fan. I'll just say right off the bat, I don't care about 5 years from now. It's a 2-year window with Rodgers. I care most about these 2 years. We have some great young players that we're going to try and retain, and I'll worry about that in 2026. Matt, your thoughts on the lack of vision and maybe this window and vision maybe towards the future?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Los Angeles Rams regret bringing in their veteran quarterbacks to try to optimize their window. Like, the Jets have this opportunity because they drafted well in 2022, and they had a lot of talent on the roster, and they still do have a lot of talent. And they felt they were being held back by the quarterback. So they decided to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers to try to compete for a championship. And they saw the success that Tom Brady had in Tampa Bay. They saw the success that Matthew Stafford had with that loaded Rams roster. And they saw, 2 Super Bowls, and they thought, hey, we could do this with our team. And, right now it doesn't look like it's working to perfection at 2-2. There's still optimism that I think they turn it around, but it's hard to sell a 5-year plan when you're on a 14-year playoff drought. Like eventually you got to get over the hump. And like, this is the hard conversation that I feel like I have to have, or we have to have in general as Jet fans about, like, for Joe Douglas. I like a lot of things that Joe Douglas has done. I do think he deserves credit, but at the end of the day, he's in his 6th year, and they have to make the playoffs this year, because I don't know how many opportunities and chances you get if you're a 7th year GM and haven't made the playoffs at any point in your tenure. And I know that there's a lot of context involved and there's a lot of nuance in the conversation. Like, I totally get that. I'm not advocating right now. Like, I'm not saying fire Joe Douglas or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, the pressure is turned up, because eventually you have to see the results come on the field. And that's what I think the Jets were trying to do. They were trying to say, hey, we have a really talented roster. We have a gaping hole at quarterback. We got to really, push our chips to the table and go for it. And, this would still be a really good team. You kind of just got to flip it then. You got to hit on the quarterback in the draft, which is clearly, obviously, easier said than done, because the Jets haven't done that. But, usually it's, hey, you got a veteran quarterback and a lot of talent on rookie contracts, or you have a lot of veteran talent and then a quarterback on a rookie contract, and that's how you win a championship. So I think how their 5-year plan would be 2 years of going for it with Rodgers, and then pray to God you hit on a rookie quarterback and you extend your window on a really cheap rookie contract quarterback.
Been saying this all week. We got $1 million roster and a 10-cent brain trust. It's really friggin' frustrating. Sky C comes in the super chat, says, Denver and Minnesota are top 5 blitzers this year. What O-line is going to show up this weekend? Seems like Breece and Garrett Wilson are trying too hard. I'm in for 𝐒𝐵RIC as head coach. The poll question for the last $20 super chat was yours truly, so I'm going to freeze myself. I'll let you two guys discuss.
Go ahead. What do you think, 𝐒𝐵RIC?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, there's a lot in that comment by Sky C, right? There's like, 5 different things to talk about in there. Well done, Sky C, by the way. But I think I would probably, I would probably rather see Ron Middleton as the head coach. Now, I'm not anti 𝐒𝐵RIC as head coach, and again, I'm not even calling for Saleh's head just yet. I'm not. I'm saying that it's time to stop pretending that these issues aren't real. We always have an excuse. Like right now, I'm in a conversation in the chat with like, hey, we're 1 missed field goal from being 3-1. Again, that's the same argument that I disagree with when people say Joe Douglas's record. It's like they're including this whole Adam Gase period, the COVID. There's a lot. There's more nuances. There's more to it than just that bottom line number shit. All right. I never like those arguments. Like there's a story around it. If you can't see that what we're looking at is consistently a problem, then I don't know what to tell you. So the same thing goes on both sides of that argument. So, I mean, look, I think 𝐒𝐵RIC would be fine, but I would prefer Ron Middleton. If it was my choice, I'd choose Ron Middleton. I like him. I don't know. I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to shoot real straight with you. Maybe it'll change throughout the week, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think that the Vikings are going to mop the floor with us. Like there's just nothing that I've seen on either side that tells me a different story. Can we do it? Sure. But I don't know, dude, this was a very far inferior team. And if you can't see that, the fact that we lost 10-9 to an inferior team is a problem. The fact that we watched our Hall of Fame quarterback, 40 years old, get sacked 5 times and hit 14 total, brutal hits. Some of them were just because he got the ball off doesn't mean that it wasn't a whack. He was whacked constantly. And if that's okay, and then you're like Sky C saying, we're talking about top 5 blitzing team, and they're getting home. They're very effective at it. They're coming, and we have not shown that we can stop it. We couldn't stop San Francisco. We couldn't stop the Denver Broncos. And Saleh's like, oh, top 5 defense, bullshit. Like, dude, you got to be able to stop that stuff. And if you can't, we're going to get Aaron Rodgers killed. And if you can't see it, then I don't know what to tell you. So I don't know. That's probably all I should say on the matter. Let somebody else talk.
Yeah, but like Green Bean, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett, or Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores?
Yeah, I know.
Is that not like just a like that alone is a really, really big matchup. But again, the NFL and none of this makes sense. The Jets should not have lost to Denver. So them just turning around and winning this week, like there's nothing logical that we could say that'd be like, hey, the Jets showed something in this game on Sunday. They're gonna build off of that and then beat a 4-0 team. Like, that's not a logical thing to say, but NFL's fucked up. Like, I don't think the Vikings are going 15-2 this year, so eventually they're going to lose. Maybe it's this week where they underlook the Jet or overlook the Jets, like what the Jets just did to Denver here. So,
but doesn't that suck, Matt? That we have to think like that. That's what we're hoping for. That we're a trap game. We're not supposed to be that. We're talking about being able to compete with the elite teams. We just lost to the Denver Broncos with a quarterback who, up to this game, has not thrown a touchdown pass in his first 3 NFL games, who threw a whopping 60 yards, and we lost. So that's the problem. You know, like I'm with you, Matt. I'm hoping the same thing. Maybe Minnesota will think that they're going to walk all over. We should be going in there going, we don't give a shit if we get their best game. We're winning. That's the team we're supposed to be. And even if we're not perfect, if we're still kind of a little sloppy, we're a little bit off, that's fine too. We don't look like that. We got shellacked in San Francisco. We looked okay in Tennessee. We looked like we were getting our ducks in a row against New England, and we went all the way back to San Francisco. That's the mark of the Robert Saleh era. It's up, down, up, down, up. We haven't looked like the same team for more than 2 weeks since he's been here, and that's the problem. And I thought with Aaron Rodgers and all the guys around him that we would see some consistency, and we're just not.
All right, boys. We're going to go to Matt real quick for an ad read, and then we'll be right back to the conversation.
In a year full of surprises, underdog wins, and all the so-called experts getting it wrong, just like me with the Jets and the Denver Broncos, MyBookie is the one book that's got your back. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action with you in total control. Think you're going to roll the dice with the other guys? Good luck. At MyBookie, it's never been about guessing. It's about giving you the edge, so every bet you place comes with confidence and a plan. If you know football and love to win, MyBookie was made for you. If you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Step up. Use our Talkin Jets code, and that'll double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from the jump. That's more money, more power to make winning plays. If you've been betting with us already, we've got something to share with you. MyBookie Plus, the new loyalty rewards program. You can now earn extra cash just for doing what you do. More plays, more wins, more cash in your account. No strings attached. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays, and you've got endless ways to bet and win all season long. So why wait? Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie, the sports book that gives you control and rewards you for every moment that you play.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. Peter S. comes in with a super chat, says, you know what can help alleviate some pressure on your quarterback? Using your third-round receiver in bubble screens or quick hitters to keep the pass rush at bay. Peter, I love this comment because how do you neutralize the pass rush? It's the same thing that happened in Miami last year. Miami didn't have a really good offensive line, but they got the ball out really fast, and it neutralized our pass rush. It neutralized a lot of teams' pass rush, and they were able to have a really explosive offense. So, Matt, I want to hear from you real quick. What do you think about alleviating some pressure on Rodgers by getting the ball out quick, specifically to Malachi Corley?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Peter S. is leading the charge on the where is Malachi Corley. And that seems like a good person to use on a bubble screen. Same with Garrett Wilson, man. Like, we know that he's shifty. How about Breece Hall? There haven't been a ton of Breece Hall screens either. So I'm with that. They're going to try to bring the heat, but Rodgers has been pretty good at getting the ball out quick. I know this past game against Denver was not an example of that, but hopefully this is something that he gets back to doing like he did against New England. I thought he did a really good job of that.
Greeny, what are your thoughts on using Corley on more bubble screens to alleviate some of the pressure that we're seeing on Rodgers?
We're going to have to see Corley get a snap first. You know, I mean, they're not, you know, I don't know what that is, Peter. I'm with you. I think, you know, the bubble screens and, you know, look, I think we all know this. And for some reason, it takes us weeks to figure anything out. Like the comment about Braylon Allen on the goal line. Like, I mean, we'll definitely look into that. We'll look into it. And it just seems like it takes us a long time to figure anything out around here. We've seen it time and time again. You know, we saw it last year with Trevor Siemian. You know, Zach Wilson looks like shit. Tim Boyle looks even worse. And we're just kind of dragging our feet. And we had a chance last year. Granted, we weren't going to do anything, but we could have made some more noise. We could have gotten another couple wins, snuck into the playoffs. And it just seems like we're slow to the punch. You know, like I'm all about being methodical. I don't like rash decisions, but at some point you got to show gumption and conviction. So I don't know, man. Like we talked about earlier, Peter, I'd like to see Malachi Corley get his reps over Xavier Gipson. I think that there's every justification for that. You traded up for him. He's the yak king. He can catch the football. He knows how to run with it in his hands. Like that's all you got to do. So using guys like him and Breece and Braylon Allen, getting the ball to those kinds of guys in space can do incredible things for your offense. We've done it before. I don't know why we're not seemingly looking for it now. I don't know. Everybody seems a little bit inconsistent and off base from what they're supposed to be doing, but I think that's a good idea. I'd like to see more of it.
Boogie Down Bronx says, not sure Sauce Gardner is a good tackler. If there's a weakness to his game, it would be his tackling. I see his miss too many tackles in a game. Yeah, well, look, I don't want Quinnen Williams covering receivers either. Like, there's certain things that guys are good at. And, like, I understand a corner has to be able to tackle more than a defensive lineman has to cover. But I think Sauce is just fine being an all-pro the first 2 years of his career. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over this. Matt, any thoughts on Sauce Gardner and his tackling ability?
Deion didn't tackle well either. He turned out okay. Like, I know, and I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to belittle Boogie Down Bronx's comment. Like, it is a fair criticism of Sauce Gardner's game. Like, he isn't a very good tackler, but he's a really damn good cover corner. Guys don't get open against him. He doesn't tackle great, and he doesn't get interceptions, but he doesn't let people catch the ball.
Sam Akin, gonna throw this up real quick. Thanks so much for the 10 spot. Says, this loss is overblown. Relax. This team is still building offensive chemistry. No, this was the classic trap game. But good teams find a way to win those types of games. You can't have first down on the 1 yard line and not punch it in. Like, I'm sorry. Like, trap game, that's fine. But when you're in it like this, that wasn't a trap game. A trap game is like, you know, to me, it would have been more of like the Tennessee game than it is the Bronco game, the way it played out. I don't know. Bean, what are your thoughts on this? I don't know.
Can you have trap games when you're 7-9, 7-9, 4 and whatever, 2 wins? Like, are we really, like, Sam, are we really the good team yet? Like, where does that come from? Look, I'm just as excited. I'm just as confident. Like, you guys know me, man. I try to stay on the positive side of things more than most. More than most. Watch one of my damn game live streams, dude. I stay positive the whole time. I Below and fucking Zod, all the shit that I do. When I see it, I call it. I'm just telling you, this is the same thing. I'm not saying that we can't fix it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we won't win any more games. I'm not even saying fire Saleh. I'm saying everything should be on the table and people need to start being held accountable. But I don't like the idea of that we fell for a trap game. We had really one game where we looked good. It was against the Patriots. I don't know. We're not the Chiefs. We're not the Niners. We're not the Ravens. There's no way. If we are falling subject to the trap game idea, then we are reading our own press clippings and believing we're something that we haven't proven we are. We won one real game. We got out of the Tennessee game. It's fine. But the only game that we looked like we had any semblance of kind of team unity and that we knew what we were doing was the New England game. It's one game, and we've seen this before. We don't know how to string games together. This was the game we should have absolutely been 3-1 right now. And I don't want to hear the bullshit where one missed field goal. We never should have even gotten that chance. That was a gift. A gift. The fact that we got that opportunity and we couldn't get 10 more yards for Zuerlein. He had to do a 50-yarder. We had plenty of time. We had 1 minute and 47 seconds when we got the ball. That's plenty of time to do a 2-minute drill and get yourselves down to the 25-yard line and make it, somewhat of a chip shot. We couldn't do it. And the whole game, even if we did that, it's reminiscent of that Giants game last year. Like, yes, we won the game. We didn't start playing football till there was 1.5 minutes left in the game, and we somehow lucked out and won it. So I'm just getting tired of watching the same stuff. This season, we have the ammunition, we have the horses to do better, and we're not. And it's not a trap game when we haven't won. We're not 3-0 going into a trap game. We were 2-1. We got our asses kicked. We escaped one game and we beat the Patriots. We needed to stack. That's what we needed to do. So I'm not like getting on you, Sam. I don't feel the same way about it's a classic trap game. We haven't earned the ability to fall victim for a trap game. We should be desperate until we actually prove that we have a team.
Kevin Ramos drops the 20 spot. Thank you so much. There's a poll question up in the chat. Vote for who you want to freeze. Robert Saleh's seat is so hot right now. He is sitting on the sun in order to cool off. That is spot on. He's got to feel the heat. He has to. He has to feel the heat. It is absurd that this man is seemingly so cool, calm, and collected. I want him to feel a little bit of pressure. I want that bald head sweating. That's what I want to see. Let's go through here. We got Red John saying, want to trade somebody for Adams, trade Corley. Yeah, not liking the Garrett Wilson talk. I understand. Oreo says, to imply Garrett Wilson wants out is to indict his character. He has been a model for this team. Elite talent is hard to come by. You don't give up on elite talent. I'm not saying you give up on elite talent.
Yes, you are.
No,
You're
I'm
saying
not.
Give him up for an old
said
man.
if Garrett Wilson doesn't want to be here, which means he would be giving up on us. That is what I was saying.
But you made that up.
Where was that come from?
No, not at all. There's if he's having frustration and there's the thought that maybe he wants out after like the season because we haven't gotten any chemistry throughout the season. Like if they determine like, hey, maybe it's just like for whatever reason, the style of receiver and the style of quarterback we currently have trying to win a Super Bowl is just not compatible for some stupid reason, and we can't figure out a way to make it work, then maybe there's. It is conjecture. It's absolutely conjecture. This whole fucking thing is conjecture.
Brain.
This is a damn bullshit.
We've created a scenario and then attached value to it, and now we're emotionally responding to it with other ridiculousness.
You're ridiculous.
We shouldn't be doing this. God damn it.
Hey, Oreo.
Garrett's creativity comments annoy me. Get open. Yeah, look, I mean, he's played some top-level competition. He's going to have an opportunity against the Vikings. He's going
Play
to.
the clip. Play the clip.
All right.
Play the clip.
Let me go play
the tape.
Give the full context, because this definitely just came from, I just read Rich Samini's comments and didn't watch the question.
Okay. Here we go. Let's pull it up. Now I got to change what we got in here. We'll get rid of this. We'll do the. All right. So this was the Rich Samini tweet that is being referenced here. Interesting comments from Garrett Wilson on the Barton Hahn show. Obviously, he's frustrated by his slow start on the Jets' offensive identity. I don't think we do a lot of different stuff, to be honest. I watch football on Sundays, and I see a lot of teams mix it up and stuff like that. I don't think we do that. I think we know our identity. It's just about getting out and executing it or figuring it out if it's going to work. I don't think we're trying a lot of different things. I know personally my route tree hasn't been what it has been the last 2 years as far as the stuff I've been running. It's just about figuring out if it's the right identity and whether it's going to win games. So that's a pretty damning clipping from that. Here is the footage from the actual clip that Garrett Wilson added for a little additional context.
From the outside, from the outside looking in, right? It kind of looks like you guys are a young team that doesn't have, or a new team that doesn't know your identity yet, right? We know, like, and I'll compare it to this. I'll compare it to the Ravens because that's the second organization I'm closest to. It took them like maybe 3 weeks to figure out how to incorporate Derrick Henry. But at the same time, they don't use Mark Andrews and they don't use Isaiah Likely. And, Bateman and Flowers get some routes, but it's kind of become centric around one thing. What I'm saying is, are you guys struggling with your identity and trying to find it? Because it feels like you guys try a lot of different stuff. You guys have a lot of good players, but sometimes when you have a lot of good players, it makes things discombobulated.
I think we do. I don't think we do a lot of different stuff. To be honest, when I watch football on Sundays, I see a lot of teams mix it up and stuff like that. I don't feel like we do that. So I think we know our identity is just about going out and executing it.
So that was the context he was responding to. I think Cimini definitely made it seem a little zestier than it was intended from Garrett. Matt, you want to respond to that clip there and the tweet from Cimini?
I'm floored that the Jets beat would do something like this. Is it very out of?
I'm floored that he would do it, Matt.
Yeah.
He's usually much more above board.
Yeah. Clearly, Bart Scott asked like a 7-minute question there.
Yeah.
That was going to take up the rest of the program here on Talking Jets going through. But and then finally Garrett stepped in and was like, I don't think we're doing a lot of stuff. And he put it on. I think he put it on the players. I don't think he threw Hackett under the bus. He was like, we got to, we know what we got to do. We got to execute better. Right. I don't know what else we could possibly want the guy to say here. I don't think he said anything wrong.
Did you see what G-Dubs put on his tweet though? When he put that, he said, how did he word it? Like, this is the lame ass question or crazy ass question that I was responding to. What did he say?
Yeah. I'll tell you in a second. I retweet.
It's in that link.
I didn't just quote comment this. It was my answer to this strung out question.
Strung out question. That's what he said.
That's an appropriate description of that.
It's a long question.
Sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Good job. All right. Where are we on the list here? Pluto comes in. Pluto says, to be honest, the whole coaching staff can go. JD, the only one who stays. Why does our offense always suck, Lord? Look, I very much would like to keep Joe Douglas. I feel like I should want to see or mandate a playoff appearance for that to be justified, because like Matt said earlier in the show, going on 7 years potentially, like next year if he does get extended, to not have a playoff berth would be pretty damning, even though I feel like we have gotten a lot of talent added to this team in a lot of different ways, not just the draft. Like, sure, he's got the miss on Becton, he's got the miss on Wilson, he's got the miss on Elijah Moore. Like, those are gonna happen, but more often than not, I feel like, at least of recent, like the since the Sauce and Garrett and Breece and AVT draft, I feel like we've done okay drafting, but free agent wise, you got a few hits here and there. You got some good undrafted free agents. You got some good trades that have been worked out. So it's the job of the GM to execute and find talent outside of like just the draft. And I think Douglas has done a pretty good job of that overall. So that's sort of my thoughts on that. I'm going to rip through a few more here. We need defensive linemen, says BG the Kid, not Davante. Is there a real chance Saleh gets canned? I think there is a real chance. I think there's so much riding on this season with Rodgers and the potential of him maybe not coming back if things really go south. That's going to cost Woody a lot of money in ticket sales. I mean, think about it. They jacked up the price of season tickets by I feel like it was at least 25% over the course of the last 2 years. They locked people in for 2 years because they knew they were going to have Rodgers for 2 years. Like, there's a lot of money riding on Rodgers and not so much Saleh. Saleh can get canned, and they're only losing the last half of his contract for this season. Hennessy comes in and says, Green Bean, just run on the field and get yourself banned. We don't need to see green beans.
Hey, man, I was there. I was on the field.
We were
down there.
They didn't kick us out.
I could have ran out there and tackled one of those 8-year-olds. They'll throw me out for good.
Yeah, they told us. The Jets told us, they're like, hey, you're going on the field at halftime. You're playing the Mighty Mites out there, and you're going to have to, beat them if you want to go back up to your seats. So you guys didn't see it on the broadcast, but we beat the snot out of some 10-year-olds. Oreo comes in and says, what's the Jets record when you three attended games? 0-4. 0-4. Yankee Jets. Is Woody capable of firing Saleh? Who do you elevate for interim head coach if that should happen? We've all been kind of on board with Middleton or Ulbrich. I think that makes the most sense. JW says, Woody ain't doing shit. We sat through last year without a quarterback, and we don't have our own stadium. Woody was kind of had our hands tied. He didn't take out the insurance on Rodgers' contract. We didn't have a whole lot of salary cap space, and we kind of made our bed with like the fact that we were going to try and prop up Zach Wilson while we had Aaron Rodgers, then try to trade Zach Wilson in the offseason. And it just, the worst case scenario thing happened. The only thing that couldn't happen last year was Rodgers getting hurt, and it happened. And I think it was one of those situations where they agreed ahead of time, like, look, this is kind of it. This is the game plan. It's just the only thing that can't go wrong. But he does have the ability to fire Saleh, and I do think that will ultimately happen if we are in jeopardy of missing the playoffs. Hype says Gibson did 0 in the last 20 games. Trade him for a package for Adams. I don't know how much value he really holds right now, I'll be honest.
No, the package. Yeah. Throw him in there, man.
Just a throwaway player.
Well, you got to make space on the roster, so throw him in.
Sure.
We'll give you Reddick, Gibson, and who else won't we like?
𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴N𝐾𝐴NDA.
𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴N𝐾𝐴NDA.
And Izzy. Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
We got CJ in here saying, tired of seeing Saleh at a press conference. He looked like a sad Mr. Potato Head. Everything he says just irritates all of us. Oh, man, that's a good one.
It's tough.
𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴N𝐾𝐴NDA listening to that, listening to that. It's the same thing over and over again. It's always the same consistent thing. 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴N𝐾𝐴NDA says, if Green Bean was coach on Sunday, we win, no doubt.
Damn right.
I think we absolutely win. We win by 2 scores if Green Bean's the coach. I think if you had, God, I don't know, Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder coach, I think you probably win by at least a score. He could see more.
I don't know. I don't know about Stevie Wonder.
Flipping coins, I think you'd be fine. I think you'd figure it out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. You know what I gotta have a line to Woody and write him a very well-crafted letter about if you're gonna make a move this offseason, if you're gonna change, you really should look at us. You really should. Like, you've tried everything. You hired Corn Ferry. You've hired 2 GMs, former GMs. It all comes up dookie. We know the team. We know the curse. We know the trends. We know what luck not to push. We know the game of football. We know the town. We know everything. Give us 2 years. Give me 2 years. I'll pick my crew. We'll all be in there. We'll sit in that damn war room. We'll have the best draft in Jets history. We'll have the best damn team. We'll win a day. We'll be in the playoffs year 2 without question. I'm telling you right now, without question. They overthink it, man. It's in football.
They could give Gase 2 years. They could give Green Bean 2 years.
But I'm saying, Matt, you'd be part of that crew. I want you to know that. You'd be in there with me.
I
don't know about Ryan, though. He'd be like, Ryan,
I'm not in control.
I don't like his opinion. Freeze him.
What if Garrett Wilson wakes up one day and doesn't love us anymore?
Right. What if he gets upset? Ryan wants to fucking trade him for a 60-year-old.
I don't want to trade him for a 60-year-old receiver. God damn it. This is what happens when I talk hypotheticals. Sometimes I bring up things that do make sense sometimes. I said they were going to trade Jamal Adams a year before it happened. I got so much shit for it. I wasn't wrong. Sometimes I'm right. It happens.
You're right a lot. No, you're right. In your defense, you're right a lot. I'm just saying. Today you're not.
It's all right. It's okay. I don't have personnel control. I'll just be a semi-scout. Double Doink says, don't be surprised if Rich Bisaccia, I can't pronounce that last name. For head coach, Aaron has raved about him in the past. I love that because I'm a big special teams guy, and John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. You get to deal with the offensive players, the defensive players, and the special teams guys. So you just have an air about you of like knowing the team a lot better and the ins and outs of stuff. And not to mention, he's an assistant head coach, so has some experience, I think, at least helping lead a team. So I could see it happening, and maybe that wouldn't necessarily totally upset the apple cart, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you'd still want to keep like Ulbrich around, and I don't know if I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Your thoughts?
He
on
took
Richard
over
Bisaccia?
for Gruden in 2021, and that Raiders team ended up making the playoffs, which was, I mean, that team faced a lot of turmoil. That was the Henry Ruggs year too. Like a lot of stuff happened that year. So I think he did a good job of kind of like keeping the ship afloat. And a lot of guys wanted him to come back and be the coach. And then they obviously go to McDaniels, and it didn't end well. And then they now have Antonio Pierce, but that's not a bad option. I wouldn't say he's my number one option, but I could get behind that because at least he has the experience and is a well-respected guy and proven success and made the playoffs, which is something that apparently nobody else on this organization can do.
Oh man. Jason, thank you so much for the 20 spot, dude. Says good teams beat bad teams. Great beats good, etc. This game was a lock and we blew it. Didn't the Jets get the memo that we were at the stadium in the rain? How about being consistent for once and giving us a quality offense? Consistency has just not been our thing. We have been consistently inconsistent, and it's incredibly frustrating because you just don't know what you're getting week in and week out from this team. Like, at least if they're consistently terrible, I could be like, all right, well, at least I can plan my day a little bit more accordingly. I can have some expectations going in. With the fucking Broncos coming in, I'm expecting Rodgers to at least, like, smack them around. We had the bad weather. It's like, oh, great, this is the perfect opportunity for Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Nope. Didn't decide not to really utilize Braylon Allen. Couldn't get Breece out in space. Everyone's making mistakes, just completely overmatched is what it felt like. And that was they had one receiver over 5 yards. One receiver over 5 yards, and it was Cortland Sutton. That's the only player. Yeah. Defense allows 10 points. You're supposed to win that game 100 times out of 100.
That's right.
Green Bean.
By the way, I knew it in my heart that we'd be the team he gets his first NFL touchdown pass against. I just knew it.
Of course.
Or that's who we are. It's who we. If we're anything as an organization, we are the coming out. That's just what we do. We're like, we will open the door to whatever struggles you're having. Let them end. Let them end here with us. So we put 2 Matts in the freeze and Ryan still won. I love it. Yeah, it was Ryan, Matt.
Oh,
and Ryan got frozen.
Well, this was from the previous one. So we're going to have to add
Let me say,
Matt's.
though, I hung out with Jason Edwards more than anybody else this week, and I spent a good hour with him and his wife at the bar. We talked about everything, man. I hung out with his son, his dad, his brother. It was the best. I was so convinced that we were going to end our streak of losing together. We were going to have a great day, and I caught him at the end of the game. I just apologized to his dad. I'm like, hey, man, I am so sorry. That he's like, hey, he's wearing all his Jet stuff. He's like, you think I don't know this? I know. I've been here before. Yeah. But Jason, he's one of the best dudes in the world, man. And I genuinely am grateful for the time I get to spend with Jason Edwards. But this game was a lock. This was the easy one. Look, remember we talked about the potential former Jets quarterback revenge tour? This was the easy one, guys. Now, granted, he didn't even play, but I wanted him to walk off the field unhappy, not happy. And that didn't happen. And it's going to only get harder from here. And I just hate it. I hate it in my soul, Jason. It bothers me on a core level. I just can't stand. It's like, it's one thing, the games. It's another entirely like the extra story. It's like Sammy throwing it to Robbie Anderson for the bomb when we played him his first game as a Carolina Panther. Like, we always have to witness and deal with that stuff. It's the extra. It's the gut stab. We don't just get killed. We get it's like we have to endure the extra pain, and I'm tired of it. I am, Ryan. I'm tired.
Well, that's what's going to happen, against the Vikings. If Sam Darnold goes off on this defense and it's this championship caliber defense that's supposed to be a top 5, top 10 unit, and we get scorched by let's say we lose by 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't think we should allow Robert Saleh back on the plane. Like, sorry, dude, you're like a member of Europe now. Member of London.
Know what we'll hear, oh, but this is the first time this defense has let that up. Every defense has a bit. I don't want to hear it anymore, man. I don't.
Matt,
sick of it.
Anything that Jason, I don't know if you heard us. I just want to say thank you for sending us those photos from the game too. They came out really, really cool.
He sent photos. Where'd he send them?
They're on our email.
Oh,
you got email.
Oh yeah. I just
cool.
got to look at that.
They were great.
Yeah, we had a really fun time this week. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I said at the beginning of the show, I don't get to see, we don't get to see each other, the three of us, enough, and getting together is so much fun. And then we get to talk to, all the Jet fans and everyone in the comments that we all know and love. And then we go into that stadium and something horrible happens every single time. But he's 100%. Jason, as usual, is 100% right. Good. The game was a lock. Good teams win that game. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen now the rest of the way.
I'm just looking at this poll question, and I do see that I put Matt twice on there, and I have 76% of the vote. I have clearly pissed off the chat. I don't know what I did. No, I do. I know exactly what I did. That's all right. I'm going to throw a little ice on myself. I'm going to bring up this next super chat so you guys can discuss it. Where am I? Thanks for the cheese says, we need Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as the next head coach. We have our 1-2 punch in the backfield, building blocks on the O-line, and a solid wide receiver room. I do think he's going to get his pick of the litter if he has the opportunity in Dallas or in Philly. I think those two might come in front of the Jets, but he would be pretty high up on our list, I would imagine. Matt, your thoughts?
I like Ben Johnson, really good offensive mind. You watch the Detroit Lions with Jared Goff put up tons and tons of points every single week. That looks like fun. I would love if my offense did that. But him and Bobby Slowick, the Houston Texans offensive coordinator, both those guys, I think, are phenomenal offensive minds, and they're very intriguing to me. But I feel like I've been burned so many times, Green Bean, by the first-time head coach thing. I don't know if that's the route that I want to go for, like, this team that is really built. Like, the roster is at a point where they're, like, trying to win a championship, and to deal with the shortcomings of a first-time head coach. Like, I don't know if that's the right play for this team. As good as those guys might end up being, it's too much of an unknown for me.
I'll tell you what, Matt, most of the coaches that we've ever hired are first-time head coaches. Most of the quarterbacks that we employ are rookie quarterbacks. And then we have no patience. Like, it's year one, we're throwing bottles at them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can handle it anymore. Like, I mean, but who do we get as a seasoned guy? I saw people talking about Belichick. Like, dude, has Belichick not hurt us enough? Like, to come here and suck here? Like, we saw him without Tom Brady. He's never done anything without Tom Brady. Never. In his whole career. It's either Tom Brady or Bill Parcells. That's the only time he's ever won anything. So I don't know if I want something like, but who else? Like, who do we get? That's a vet,
Vrabel.
though, Matt. You know what I mean?
Vrabel.
Vrabel. That's the guy. Forget it. Forget
or
everything
Flores.
I said.
I mean, I think Vrabel's the one, though.
I'd take Flores, too, though. Flores was doing a great job in Miami.
Oh, for sure. The only reason I say Vrabel is because of the coaching staff. I don't think you have to change much.
Yeah, no, Vrabel's the guy. Dude, when they fired, well, I'll admit, I was blown away when they fired Flores, but I was equally blown away when they fired Vrabel. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
I thought for sure he was going back to New England, and that was just going to hurt. I would much rather bring him in here.
Hell yeah.
Hype says, bring Gase in for the first 15 game script. Don't boot me. Hey, Gase's first 15 plays of, like, every game were at least solid. It's not that. Yeah, that was about it. Outside of that,
that was the problem.
Yes, 100%. Hype says, I'll defend Saleh on cadence. We don't need hard counts on the 1 yard line. Plow the ball with Allen and Ruckert, or sneak with Taylor. We ain't playing smash ball. Look, I don't mind the hard cadence on the goal line, because if you get the guys to jump, you get the extra play on the goal line. You should be disciplined enough, knowing what the snap count is, to not move before the actual count. So while it is maybe a little bit more difficult as opposed to just going on 1 or going on 2, I think the ability to try and get extra plays to give yourself more opportunities is very important. Mitt Flair comes in with a super chat, says, I think the pressure of playing well is getting to Breece and Garrett. Like, they just need to relax and run the play in front of them, trying to do too much. Man, I don't know. Like, it's just Breece fumbling.
Man.
Like, the Breece fumble didn't bother me too much because of the way that punch was delivered on that ball. It was just so perfectly square. Breece, Garrett's definitely irritated me a little bit more because of how slick and wet it was. Like, you saw Lazard. Lazard always has, like, 2 hands over that ball. Like, he knows, like, not to drop it. I feel like Garrett kind of gets a little too loose with how he's carrying the ball, and that's part of what makes him so great too, because you're more agile when you can kind of be a little more loose like that. Bean, what do you think? A little too much pressure on Breece and Garrett, and they're feeling that, or is it something different?
I think if that's the case, then they're not the great players that we think they are. You gotta be able to play. You know what I mean? Like if the expectation is too much, then they're not what we thought they were. Like there are players, the Fitzpatricks, the Brandon Marshalls of the world, that they're really great with bad teams. But when neither one makes it to the playoffs in their entire career, there are players that are just better with no pressure on them, right? Like when it's time to be great, that they can't. Now, I'm not saying that about Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall, but just to kind of comment to Mitt Flair's super chat here, if that's the case, then we have a big problem. But that goes to coaching too. Like, again, coaching matters, man. Like, it actually makes the difference. You are the controller of the entire organization on the field. And if guys are doing that kind of stuff, you got to have some sort of methodology, some sort of process in place where you can get guys out of those mind spaces. And if you can't, they're not on the field. And then they got to sit with it. And then you deal with it afterwards. So something's got to happen. Again, I love Breece and I love Garrett Wilson. I don't think their careers are over, or I don't want to trade them like Ryan or anything like that. I just think, to this point, if they're making more out of this than they should, then there's a bigger problem that needs to be rectified. It's like a quarterback getting happy feet. You better take care of this shit now before it becomes something that's like a huge issue for them. We need to take care of it. Fix this stuff right away.
Jonathan Moore comes in with a super chat. He says Hackett is head coach. He's totally lying right now. I want you to know this.
Yeah, he's playing games.
Is still in here. I'm gonna boot him.
J-Mo and I are we go back a long ways. And I want you to know, Green Bean, I know as frustrating as it was to drive from Virginia to come up and sit in the rain and watch all of that. J-Mo flew from Colorado to watch Denver beat us in the rain.
Yeah.
Like, I think as far as like people who had the shit end of the stick, J-Mo had one of the dirtiest. one of the most shitty.
Yeah, because he came from the state where they were.
Yeah,
I mean, Jeremy
exactly.
and Wyatt came from further, though.
Oh,
I mean, they came from further.
100%.
Poor Wyatt. Wyatt forgot his card at the bar. Did you guys know that?
No. Would they whack him with an extra fee, too?
No. He couldn't he forgot his card at the bar. Thankfully, they had it, but he was at Sack's 50th birthday party in Manalapan, got in an Uber. Now, the kid, he's never been to New York in his life. You know what I mean? He's in an Uber.
The big city.
2-hour Uber ride to New York City. He's running around in the city by himself. We're trying to get him on the train at 10:30 at night. He's running through Penn Station. It was just a crazy night for the poor guy. But I told him, I said, look, it sucks when it's happening, but it's a great story later, dude. Now you got one. So
you got the real New York experience.
I was gonna say, did you really go to New York if you didn't like accidentally forget to close your tab at a bar and got to go back and get your card?
Right. Something's got to happen like that.
At least he noticed. That's a good thing.
At least they had it. They had his card. Like he was calling them, they weren't answering. He went back. He didn't know. It wasn't 100%. He could have dropped it on the floor.
That would be miserable.
Terrible.
Blitzkrieg comes and says, I'm no longer in the camp of JD is tied to Saleh. More and more, it seems like a problem with the chief rather than who's doing the chef. Words are hard right now. Than who's doing the shopping. So I do agree with Blitzkrieg. I think Douglas, it's hard to say deserves to say,
did his job.
I think Douglas got the team ready the last 2 years.
Not perfect.
No, it's not
perfect, but there's more than enough horses, right?
100%. Matt, your thoughts on this?
He also hired the coach. I mostly agree with you guys, but he also I did play devil's advocate here a little bit. He hired the coach here too.
Now, how many? I think we could all probably agree Saleh for that coaching roundabout felt like the top candidate for most teams around the league, not just whether it be us or not. Dan Campbell wound up being the best one, I think, but Daboll didn't come out to the year after. Trying to think who else would have been in that. Urban Meyer maybe was that year.
Daboll. We interviewed Daboll. He just
Daboll
didn't get
went back
hired
to the
till
Bills.
year after.
No,
But
Daboll went
because
back to the
nobody
Bills.
Offered him a job. Somebody
Nobody
offered
offered him the job. It's real easy to say, you know what?
I think he went back before we even hired Saleh. I'm almost 100% sure. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he said, I'm going back to the Bills before we
because we didn't offer him the job. If we
but
said,
we didn't
hey,
offer
we
Saleh
want you
the
to-
job before that happened. 100% we didn't.
Well, we didn't offer it to Dable.
We didn't
You know,
offer
it's
it to
like,
anyone
look,
other
if
than
you have
Saleh.
an interview,
But
look, he felt it. If we offered him the job, he would have taken the job.
I don't know. What do you think, Matt? Or no, we already got that one. That's right. Hype says tinfoil hat. Oh, I love tinfoil hats. This is great. 8 to 5 chemistry was to get Adams in. 8 to what to like 8 to, so like Rodgers to Garrett, the chemistry's not working, so you got to get Davante Adams in.
Purpose.
Yeah, I like this one. Like this is a great theory because that tells me that Garrett Wilson and Rodgers are actually working and they're just trying to force the hand of Douglas to get Davante Adams in here. I'll buy that hype. Sure, I can ride with that. Tommy,
Right on, hype.
right?
I like
See, that's a fun conspiracy theory. Tommy says it was so awesome meeting y'all at Pioneers on Saturday. Could see Adams trade and defensive end before the deadline, in my opinion. Any trade ideas besides Adams? Go Jets. Matt talked about it last week. We talked about Trey Hendrickson. We talked about 𝐒𝐿𝐽 from the Giants. Trying to think who else was on that list. Was there one more, Matt? Was there 3?
Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney, that was the other one. So a lot of names out there that would be really nice to see. Sam comes in with a super chat. Says, nope, that was the trap game one. We already got that one. Let's see. Sorry, my computer's all jacked up over here. Josh English says, think there is a chance Rodgers retires if the Jets miss the playoffs and the staff gets fired. Yeah, I do. I think there's a very real chance. And I think that's why part of the reason why I think Woody Johnson will be more serious on moving on from Robert Saleh, because like Green Bean said earlier, that's the cash cow. Rodgers sells seats. You get the primetime games with Rodgers. We've had, 10 to 12 to 13 standalone games? I'm including the London game. I'm including the Black Friday game. I'm including the flex game at the end of this year, potentially, with Miami that could go into primetime at some point. Like, the Jets and Rodgers sell tickets and make money. It's a printing press. I think Woody will fire Saleh if it comes to that. But I do think there's a real shot that Rodgers retires if we do miss the playoffs. And it might just be because, hey, I'm getting too many hits. I can't take these shots anymore. I'm a 41-year-old quarterback. Maybe it's just time for me to hang it up. I'm not having fun the way I thought I would have fun here. Green Bean, your thoughts on the chances of Rodgers retiring after the season?
Yeah, I think it might happen mid-season.
No, imagine he just Antonio Browns us. Screw it, I'm done, and just trots off the field.
He takes off all his clothes and starts swinging balls, walking out of the stadium.
Just swinging around.
I'm out of here.
Peace. Discount. Double check.
I mean, dude, look, it happened last year. I'm not gonna compare Zach and Aaron Rodgers, right? But remember, they denied it up and down. But the rumor was Zach Wilson said, "I don't want to play. I don't want to play." Then he came in for the Miami game, got his ass kicked, got hurt midway through. We never saw him again. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the idea if Aaron Rodgers is getting beat up game after game after game, and we don't know if that'll happen. This was a little bit anomalous, right? It was extreme. So we can't say that this is the way of things. But if it does happen like that, and him and Garrett Wilson and the other receivers, they can't get on the same page, and there's infighting, and Saleh is not holding people accountable. If that trend continues, then why would he come back? This is miserable. Couldn't do it. The Jets are too big for me.
Matt, could you see Rodgers retiring at the end of this year potentially?
No, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to go out sad. Aaron Rodgers wants to go out on top, baby. He's going to keep running this thing back to the wheels.
I like it. I'm a fucking
Make me
downer.
feel good. Give me hope. Give me hope. James says, I know you'll like to hear this, Ryan. We let Sauce golf at the country club I work at yesterday, and he lost about 12 Pro V1s worse than he claims. That's really funny. That 12 Pro V1s is not cheap either. At least at my golf course, it's very expensive. I lose a lot more, so I could say I'm
What's the
significantly
Pro V1?
worse. Pro V1's like arguably like the top golf ball. Like it's the one that's like always like the top seller in pro shops and stuff. Titleist's top performer. What was that?
How much does it cost in comparison to a standard golf ball?
So it depends. Like obviously the prices at the pro shops are going to be elevated because we kind of have you buy the balls literally because you don't have any golf balls. You got to buy them from us. So I'll give you the exorbitant prices that you would pay at a pro shop just because that's what I know offhand. Like we charge $60 for a dozen golf balls for Pro V1s. If you wanted to buy noodles, which is like there's layered golf balls, right? There's 2-part golf balls, 3-part golf balls, and 4-part golf balls. The Pro V1 is a 4-part golf ball. It's very soft to hit. It feels very good bouncing off your club. But a noodle, which is a 2-part ball, is like hitting a stone. And that, at least for bad golfers, like Sauce should probably be playing like some pretty shit balls, but he's got a lot of money, so it doesn't really matter. He could play the best balls and it doesn't matter. But you could get 15 noodles for like $20, $25. Like, so if you're thinking, you could get like 45 balls for the price of 12. Just going by, pro shop pricing and whatnot. I think you could probably get Pro V1s like at like Walmart or Dick's for maybe like $40, $38 somewhere in that ballpark. But yeah, it's definitely not cheap. It's nice when you find Pro V1s on the course. It's like, ooh, $5 ball. Like, kind of nice. Jay says, Greg the Leg, thoughts? Look, I trust Greg the Leg. I know he's been a little shaky this year, particularly preseason. What was that?
Little bit.
Yeah, look, I think he was a little bit shaky in preseason, and I think I'm not going to, like, rag him for missing a rainy kick from 50 yards out. I think he hits that
for missing a 30-something yarder when he would have beat the spread if he just made that kick. Can we brag on him for that one?
Sure. That's fine. I think he has been worse this year than previously. But I do still like him as a kicker. I think, I'd trust him. Like, if we have a 55-yard kick to win the game, like, I'm going to trot him out there. It's not like I'm not trusting him. If we had a 60-yard kick to try and win the game, I'm probably trotting him out there at that point.
I hear you. I thought he was going to make that shit. I'm like, dude.
Oh, I knew it.
Out. We're winning this game.
Nope. I knew it. When they missed the field goal, I was like, all right, we got a shot. But when we didn't get that extra 10 yards, and we had to kick it from 50, I was like, he's not making this kick. It's not in the cards.
In that condition. And they were played so conservative too. It was like they were okay with it. Yeah, we're gonna trot out our kicker in the rain with a wet ball for a 50-yard. Like, again, nothing from this goddamn game made any sense.
No, it's ridiculous. And then you have the whole 3rd and 10 to fucking Xavier Gibson. Stupid. Very dumb. Oreo says, Matt Greenbean, feelings if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl this year. No. That would just hurt. That would be painful. Hypothetically, let's just say this, Matt and Greenbean. Let's say there's a scenario where Rodgers up and leaves, and he's just like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. My body's hurt. We're going to switch the regime. Everyone's gone. Douglas is gone, and Saleh's gone, and Hackett's gone. Everyone's gone. And Sam Darnold is a free agent next year. Would you want to bring Sammy Boy back?
Why?
I would, 100%. Yeah, I would. No, if everyone's gone and the wheels come off and shit sucks and you have to bring in a quarterback next year, I would love to bring Sam back. Sam with this roster would be a lot more fun than Sam with Adam Gase.
Sam with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson in Vegas.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or I could see him if Tua is done at the end of the year. I could see him going to Miami. I could see him going to the Giants next year in place, playing with Malik Neighbors. God, that would burn me up to see him with the Giants. I hope he goes to the Raiders. I don't want to see him anywhere near the New York area if it's not on the Jets. That would just really suck. Greenbean, what do you think?
I hate all of it. I hate everything you said.
Yeah, it's horrible, right?
I hate him coming here. I hate him going to Miami. I hate it all. I really do. I'm so sick of fucking not having a team I'm confident in, dude. I couldn't give a shit how good other people are playing if we could just get our heads out of our ass and be a good football team. Yep. I'm so sick of being like we're always the butt of a joke. Does anybody not get tired of this?
It sucks. It's miserable. It's absolutely horrible. That's why we don't have
We sat in the rain from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And not that the rain stopped. It's just when we finally got in our cars to leave. That's the only thing that stopped the rain, was dejectedly getting in the cars, shutting the door, looking at each other and going,
my favorite
I'm just sitting 2 hours of traffic.
My favorite part of the day was on the walk out, I got separated from Green Bean. It was just me and Ryan walking back to the car. And then as we were driving out, I saw Green Bean like sadly waving to me in his car, just with the rain. It was like a movie. It was
I did that.
Yeah, he was
just
waving,
like your best friend's moving away, and it's the last time you're gonna see him.
Yeah.
Taylor was like, "Oh, there's Green Bean," and it's like the rain is like on both our car windows, and you just see like him and Team Bean waving. It's like this is the perfect personification of this day.
Oh man, Matt, can you grab a few timestamps from last week's video? We got 6 minutes left in the show. Make sure you hit that like button for every like we get on this video. Every 25 likes we get on this video, we're gonna pick qualifiers for our t-shirt, jersey, hat, mug, pillow giveaway in 5 minutes time. Pooch Guy says Kingsbury. The answer is Kingsbury. Look, the Jaden Daniels. You guys heard from me. I said Jaden Daniels is the top quarterback in this draft. And it looks like he is in a very good spot right now. And I think he's got a good offensive coordinator. And I'm excited to see where his career goes. The dude is stupid accurate. Like, I think he had the highest completion percentage of any rookie starting a game ever. It was like 94% complete. I think he was like 21 of 23 or something like that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. So if Kingsbury could come in here and you can start seeing some offense, very cool. But yeah, I don't know when that. I feel like if Rodgers is here, that's not.
Oh my
not
God!
happening.
Please don't. That would be just a rehashing of Adam Gase. Like, he's a proven failure. Like, there's no like. When we get somebody, can we have somebody who's a proven success at least?
Do you think he was a failure? Like, I mean, they obviously had the Rosen experience, but then they had Kyler right after it. I feel like Kyler's.
He wasn't
good.
the coach for Rosen. They fired Vance Joseph and
that's
Rosen
right.
together.
They got so it was only Kyler then, and then he wound up going on like a sabbatical, didn't he, or like some kind of like
look.
He went to like Dubai or something.
I didn't like Kingsbury as a hire. I didn't want the Jets to hire him. I thought he was a fraud. And when he went there and sucked, it fit perfectly for me. It was a square peg in a square hole for me. So I don't know, man. Like, I just don't want guys who have failed hoping that they got it. Like, I want a guy who's on and up. And I want an offense. Like, I'm not calling for anybody's head per se. But if we get there, I want an offensive-minded coach. And I want a guy who's on a hot streak. I want a guy who's done something, not 1 year in an organization. It's like a guy who works for Andy Reid for a year, and all of a sudden, he's like, oh, he's got the greatest offense. Well, Reid had the best offense for fucking 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that guy. I want the guy who, when he came, he changed everything. He implemented something. He's got, he's cutting edge. He's a thinker. Like, you ever watch like Shanahan's offense? Like, it just looks so smooth. It's so beautiful. And then there's us. It's like we got an I formation bunched, and it's like, oh, are we running up the middle? Are we?
No creativity. I've seen more creativity out of my 2-year-old than I have Nathaniel Hackett's offense.
I've seen more creativity with crayons involved.
I've seen people eat crayons that are more creative. Sam Aiken.
I love crayons.
Comes in here with a super chat. Thank you so much. Says, this is the first good roster we've had in years. Let's support our team and let the season play out. Sam?
No.
Not in the mood right now. No optimism.
What are you doing, you bastard?
Stop being so happy. You and your delightfulness. Travis?
I don't bitch like this often. Again, this year there should be a lower threshold. I know we're justifiers, right? And I am too. Not this year. Short leash, Ryan. Short leash.
I agree. Yes. Travis is a baller, gifted 10 Talkin' Jets memberships.
Scoodly-doo! That's my new
Thank
thing
you so
when we do
much.
that.
Skiddly diddly doo. Brandon Harper becomes an OnlyFans member. Look at us go. Now you can tell your wife you are on OnlyFans. And when she says, what the hell, I'm going to divorce you, you could say it's actually 3 dudes with facial hair and like ugly mugs. So it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Boogie Down Bronx says, I think coaching staff has made this a must-win game. I think the Jets must win this game or Saleh gets fired on the flight home. I think if the Jets have a really good offensive explosion and it's like a tight game and they wind up losing, I think it'll be all right. But if the Jets get their doors kicked in, like, yeah, Saleh shouldn't get on the plane. Matt, your thoughts?
I think they'll extend him regardless. What happens?
Yep. They love
Go
him.
to keep Rodgers around. Worth sitting through this shit one more season. Bean, your thoughts?
I love that Robert Saleh needs a get-back coach, that he can't control himself when things are so good. I love that. That's all I want to say.
Knob, we got to meet at the bar and at the tailgate. It was absolutely great. He says, thanks for organizing the events. Even if we lost, it was awesome meeting you guys. Knob, you're the man. And that gummy was legit as well. Buffalo comes in, says, casuals want to trade for Davante Adams when we have Solomon Thomas on the goal line package cooking. Buffalo Jet fan, preach to the choir. We were talking about this earlier in the stream. Why Solomon Thomas is in and getting opportunities instead of a 240-pound running back who has been getting yardage consistently going forward is beyond us. CJ, I see the super chat in
Let's
there.
trade up for a wide receiver. Okay, let's trade up.
Ooh.
And then use Solomon Thomas instead of him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's do that.
Agreed. That feels far more in line with
Nobody will
everything.
see it coming. No,
4D
you know why?
chess.
Because it's dumb. That's why they don't see it. Guy's an idiot.
Or
That was
use,
for
I don't know,
Hackett, not for
Mike
you.
Williams, who just seems to catch every back shoulder throw Aaron Rodgers throws his way. Or Alan Lazard, who is like, I don't know, having a renaissance with Aaron Rodgers, who's also 6'4". They're not going to throw it. We're gonna
No. Let's throw it to
Littlest,
Gibson.
tiniest. Let's throw it to littlest, tiniest fella we can find. Who's
Yeah,
the
this is
smallest
perfect.
little tiny fella? You, come here.
Third and 10, gotta have it. Gibson, undrafted free agent, hasn't done anything since last year. Perfect. CJ, I see the super chat. Thank you so much. I just don't see a comment. It looks like the message was retracted. Joe M says my preseason prediction was 15-2. I'm sticking to it. JETS.
Hey, I'm there. I'm with you.
There you go. Optimism. Jay Taylor says Vrabel is Rodgers if Rodgers stays. If not, then Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, or Joe Brady for head coach. Yeah. Okay, I'm on board with this. I would also kind of be down if Vrabel wanted to get his own quarterback and do his own thing. I would be open to him either way. But if you could get a Ben Johnson, a Slowick, or a Joe Brady, I think I'm on board with that as well. Hennessy Heisman comes in, says maybe Corley can play defensive end for us. I mean, you'd probably see more snaps than wide receiver.
This is like when they asked Michael Clemens if he could play left tackle.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't a stupid question after all. I thought it was the dumbest thing I ever heard. Now I'm like, huh.
Maybe. He might be able to.
Maybe.
Can't get pressure any other way. Love it. Boys and girls, reach the end of our show. Pick a little.
I got 2 that I could give Green Bean here to add.
I'm
to
ready.
Pure
Let's do it.
Imagination and Peter from Hudson Valley.
Peter
S. All right.
How many we got, Green Bean?
Let me get one more to make it 60.
All right.
Because I'm not putting Modine. Modine got the last one, and I'm just not even using it.
Good. Sorry, Modine.
Screw that guy.
Kick rocks.
Seriously.
Pound sand. Take a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah, whatever. His team sucks balls. I don't want to hear it.
I see Crossfire in the chat. He says, by the way, my wife told me she likes everyone at the game with us better than my other friends. LOL.
I wish I got to talk with Crossfire and Mrs. Crossfire much more. I felt I was running. There was a lot of running around.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They missed a lot of the tailgate from what he was telling me.
Yeah.
It was
It
they
took
got
him
to the
forever.
tailgate. I don't know if it was they got to the tailgate late. But I talked to them a little bit just before we headed in, and like literally right after the game. Delight. Absolute wonderful couple there. But
Yeah, I only got a little bit of time with him. I know it was like I asked him. He said I think it took them like forever to get in. My sister had the same experience. My sister took her an hour and a half. She said from getting to the area, like getting into the track, it took her an hour and a half to get in, like out of the car.
Same thing happened to my buddy Max, who was at the game. He texted me like an hour and a half before we went in, and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for parking." And then it was like 12:20. He was like, "Just found parking. We're just in now." I'm like, okay, like, we'll see you in there, I guess.
It was so funny when I met him. The first thing he says to me, he goes, "Rigged." I was like, "Crossfire!"
Yeah.
I've never met Crossfire before, but as soon as he said rigged, I was like, "Oh, this is great." Oh, it's fantastic. All right, so we got 60 here. Random number. Wow, 5. Really? It started on 4, and I hit random number, and it literally went 1 digit up. All right, who's 5?
This is so
Joe
weird.
M. Joe M. You are the winner tonight, my friend.
Let's see what we get. Joe M.
I'm feeling a hat tonight.
I'm feeling Jersey. This is
wow.
nice.
Oh, I called it. Look at that.
Look at that go.
Oh,
wow.
I was due after that horrible Jets Broncos prediction from last week.
Hey, I thought Rodgers was going to absolutely destroy the Broncos. It was going to be an offensive explosion. Obviously, the weather maybe kind of changed that a little bit, and we just didn't show up. It's all right. We get them wrong sometimes. Joe M., reach out to jetstalk247@gmail.com or talkinjetshow@gmail.com. We'll get your shipping information. We'll let you pick out either one of the winter beanie or the where is it? The other hat up at the top there, and we'll send it out to you. Thank you so much for playing, Joe M. But it has reached the end of our show, so I want to send it around to you boys. Green Bean, what you got going on? Final thoughts.
We're going to do the After Hours Jets Fest at 10:35 p.m. Green Bean Jets fan, come and hang out. I could use a little bit of more venting opportunity with y'all. So, yeah, 10:35 p.m. Come hang out with me. We always have fun in there.
Matt, any last words?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but the Jets are going to win this week because nothing makes sense with this team. So the Jets will be back to 3-2 next week, and we're all going to be right back on the horse because this is what we do.
I am not going to say what Jimmy Jets put in the chat. I was going to crack a joke, but I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it.
No,
we're winning this.
I was going to say something about Jimmy too. What did he say?
No, because then if I repeat what he said, then I'm technically saying what he said. I'm not falling for that Jedi mind tricks, Green Bean. Ain't happening.
Well, because I almost said something about Jimmy a second ago. I forget what it was, though.
Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you. We'll be back here 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock next Tuesday for Talking Jets after a Jets victory in London. We got a little 9 a.m. football. So if you thought sadness sucked after a 1 o'clock game, you could have it just a little bit earlier with some tea and crumpets. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.
Just go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of it is the people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does a different way with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head. No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family. Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls. Freeze run.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Jets!